For those of you who don't know me, my name is Travis Mydlo. I'm the Senior Solutions Architect with PatientNow. You might have seen our booth out there. And we're going to be talking through some marketing strategy today. And first and foremost, I want to congratulate all of you guys for being here. It's a Saturday. You could be anywhere else, right? You've decided to take time and energy and money to invest in your business and learn all of this. And at PatientNow, we talk about something called DK versus DE. So deficiency of knowledge or deficiency of execution, right? So what we found is at the beginning of this, there might have been some deficiency of knowledge, right? Maybe we didn't know a lot of this. And after everything, after the notes we take and the photos we take of the slides, will there be a deficiency of execution afterwards? Because there will no longer be a deficiency of knowledge. We now know better. So are we going to do better in our business, right? Are we going to take those next steps? So I've been specifically working in the aesthetic medical space for 9.5 years. And my background is in software and marketing. So that's what we're going to go through today and how to market our practice. And I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands a lot. So happy I have the lapel here. So all in marketing strategy. Let's go through this. So the agenda today, we're going to build a marketing strategy, or I'll call it a game plan, and you'll see why here in a second. We're going to understand the patient life cycle in order to build that strategy. We want to know where they're coming from acquisition to conversion to retention, right? That entire life cycle, the whole journey. We're going to talk through the importance of before and afters. And I believe we're going to do a demonstration of our before and after tool after this as well. So for everyone in the room, I think before and afters are vitally important and something we really need to prioritize. Also, prioritizing the review process, so review management, generating positive reviews for our business, and potentially running memberships in our practices and the process that it takes to track those, manage them, and efficiently put them together, right? So we'll go through the agenda here. Marketing without a game plan. So quick personal story. I have a beautiful wife at home in Orlando and 2 amazing sons. And my oldest son is 4. He's old enough now to play sports. And so I told my wife once that happened I was going to coach him. And he decided he wanted to play soccer first. So I was coaching his soccer team, 4-year-old soccer. And we went into that first practice with 0 game plan. I figured I'd roll the ball out there. It'd be like recess. They just chase it around. Totally fine, right? I don't know if any of you have ever seen 4-year-old soccer, but it is chaos, right? There was a lot of kicking each other, punching, crying. There's boo-boos, right? So I decided I'm no longer going to not have a game plan for that team. I mapped out every single practice after that, down to the minute, down to water breaks. There's no more dehydration, right? Very important. And by the end of the season, these are the bananas. Every single one of them scored a goal, so I was super proud of that. That was my goal for them. Once I put together a game plan, I said, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to practice. These are the drills we're going to run. And we didn't take it too serious. We made it fun, right? But marketing your practice, marketing your business without a strategy can feel a little bit like trying to coach 4-year-olds in soccer. It can be chaotic, right? I have a website. I don't know where the leads are coming from to that website. I don't know, is this website ranking well, right? I feel like posting today on social media, so I'm going to put some content out. But then I have no consistency with that. So you're just kind of throwing darts at a dartboard. We don't necessarily know how effective that strategy is when there is no true game plan around it, right? So I know that analogy is kind of a stretch. I just wanted to show the bananas off, really. So let's put together a game plan. So let's ask ourselves these things first. Do I have a strategy in place right now to generate more patients online? Right? How are people going to find out about me? Do I have a strategy to show up on search engines? Am I consistently putting content up on my website? Do I have a company that's taking care of that for me? How am I measuring that success is another piece, right? Do I have software in place to track where those leads are coming from? And did those patients convert into X amount of dollars into the business? Was I able to actually convert and retain them? Is another piece, right? And then how can I ensure consistency, not just when I feel like marketing? It's a very consistent, frequent motion of, on Mondays we post this, Tuesdays is this process, we send out a newsletter this day, we have ads going on this channel, we consistently track where they're coming from, what's the conversion percentage, right? It's important to measure all of that and be consistent with it and have that strategy in place. And then this is a really important piece. Am I doing a good job marketing to my existing patient base? So if I've already built so much trust with these patients and they are going down the street for another service that I'm offering, that's on me, right? If I didn't do a good enough job educating them to let them know, hey, we also have this membership program or this particular service. Don't go down the street to this other med spa for that, right? So just some questions to ask ourselves as we put together the game plan. This is what we call the patient wheel or the patient journey or life cycle, right? So it starts with acquiring the patient and really just acquiring them as a lead. How are they finding out about us, right? So are they finding us on our website? Was it a social platform? Was it paid for advertising or organic? And then from there, do we have tools in place, like an opportunity management system or a CRM, to track all of that incoming opportunity and then market to them? Thank you for your interest, but don't forget to check out, right? Don't forget to come in. This is some valuable information for you to consider. So do we have those tools in place right now for just acquiring them, bringing them in? And then once they do come in, miracle, right? They decided to choose us. Do we have a process in place to communicate appointment reminders? Or maybe it's just having them fill out their consent forms beforehand and automating that process and not having to document everything on paper and then store it in a file and have to go back and look at that every single time I see this patient. Do I have a process in place to capture their before and afters? Am I capturing that on that initial consultation and then being able to go back in after the fact and say, look what we were able to do for you? Because people forget really quickly what they used to look like, right? We've seen that with our patients. And then are we doing a good job at retaining existing patients? Do we have a process in place right now to maybe run membership programs? Are we promoting those if so? Do we have an integration of all of our tools from start to finish to say, my leads come into one channel, and then the communication will happen through that same system. And then when they are retained, we can track how much revenue this patient's worth to me. So I'm marketing, spending all this time and energy and effort into marketing. I need to be able to measure how successful that is through software. That's a lot of information, obviously, and it's a lot to think about. So where do we want to prioritize? In my opinion, these would be the basics where I would start. So I would find a software to track and perform my marketing efforts. There's tons of great tools. Obviously, it's self-serving for me to say we have an incredible software for that. But there are tons of great tools that can do a lot of this in this industry that can help you not just pull those leads in, understand the referral source of what marketing channel did they come from, but then communicate messaging, run email, run text, follow up, nurture that lead consistently without me having to even think about it. Another piece I would start in terms of basics would be before and afters. So kind of getting ahead, that's the next slide, but before and afters tend to be the most visited page on our practice's websites. So if we know that, are we prioritizing these and keeping these consistently up to date? The next most visited page is typically the testimonials or reviews. So do we have a process in place to automate that process? When somebody checks out, are they going to get a text message from our system that says, hey, thanks for working with Natalia. Don't forget to leave us a review. Picture of Natalia's face, super personalized, right? And then where's that review going? Is it just going to a stagnant website, or are we sending it to Google? And we're going to dig into why that's important too. And then the final piece I would prioritize is running memberships or loyalty programs. And we'll go through some of the benefits of that too. So we pulled our existing practices databases, and we were asking them where were they starting their search, what pages on the website were they looking at, and by a large margin, before and afters. was number one. Followed right behind it was testimonials, though, and reviews. So if we know that, what are the processes we now have to, one, have good before and afters, have a good sequence in place so it's the same lighting, same distance, same angle, everything, every time. And then two, how are we gaining those reviews consistently? Just another cool stat. I'm pounding the before and after thing, but 4 out of 5 patients start by looking at the gallery, right, before they move forward with an aesthetic treatment. The aesthetic patient wants to know 2 things. What am I going to look like? What are people saying about you? That's the big 2. So if we know that, let's put some processes in place. And on the review side, if we're generating reviews online to our Google business, how many people have their Google business profile set up correctly? Good, awesome. So the name, phone number, address, hour of operations, all of that needs to be correct. Holiday hours, because that's a bad first impression if I show up to a parking lot somewhere and I'm like, this is not the business that I look for, right? It's a quick way to lose that patient. So not only on this profile, but this profile speaks to hundreds of other directories online. And if this information isn't correct, then we're going to start losing that first impression, right? So the other piece is, as we generate more reviews to this platform, it's a complete monopoly, but Google has that on us, and we have to play their game. We have to generate reviews here because they will start to put us in what's called their map pack. So that top 3 businesses for whatever service I'm looking for in that city. So service and then city-state. So if I'm not showing up for my top revenue-driving services in that top 3 in my own city, what do I have to do to start doing that? Well, you have to feed the beast of Google, right? You have to be generating positive reviews to this consistently and frequently. And it can't be, I got 30 reviews this month, I'm good for the year. They're more so just looking for a consistent interaction with their platform, and then they reward you for it. So having a process to get those reviews there is another great kind of basic starting point I would have. Now let's talk about membership programs. How many people have like a membership program in their practice? All right, a lot of people, that's awesome. So on Thursday I was in Nashville, and I did an entire talk on memberships. And I was blown away because it was cosmetic dermatologists. And a lot of these cosmetic derms were trying to run memberships, but they had sort of a fragmented process. They were utilizing like a point of sale system and then an EMR that was specific to derm and trying to track all of that through that system, but then there was fragmentation with the point of sale. So there was no way for them to store a card on file and track that membership and have it automatically take that money out every month. So it's almost virtually impossible to grow that consistently when we have sort of siloed tools on that front. So that's what we've set out to do, is try to bring a lot of that together for practices. We are the point of sale and the membership program to be able to customize it specifically to what you want to run. So what are some benefits to this? That's a lot, right? So the patient retention, the per patient spend is going to go up. If we're bringing them back in, your top line revenue, obviously. We've seen 81% of millennials are influenced by the implementing like a loyalty program or a membership program. So if we know that, and that's the emerging generation, we have to be rolling these out. This is the way that generation wants to buy, so let's put that in front of them and have a process for them. You're going to see better communication to your patients. You're going to see an increased referral base, increase in your reviews. Overall, you're going to see your practice valuation go up. And we're going to look at a couple case studies and different types of memberships we can run in a second too. But with the increase in the financial sector interested in our business, as we've all seen, right? There's a lot of private money being poured into the aesthetic industry right now. It's probably important that we can increase that valuation and be able to measure that and showcase those results and what we're truly worth. And then better retail sales. If we're getting them to come back in, because they're paying a membership fee every month, they have an incentive to come back into the business, we now have an opportunity to sell them other products we have in the business and cross-sell them. And then as we retain them, as they spend more with us, your marketing ROI goes up. That lead you paid $200 for on Google now costs less because they've spent more, right? So really important to consider implementing a membership program. What are the different types? So there's banking memberships, right? You can bank it for later. You can use it when you want to use it. Get it at a discounted rate if you pay those fees. Monthly fee membership. So this one, it would be my personal favorite, and I'll show you why here in a second, that we have a pretty cool case study of one of our clients. There's service-specific memberships, which is more like the gym membership model. Different tiers. You get access to this part of the gym or this part of the practice, and you get this amount of shots, plus you also get the cellulite treatment if you go with the tier 4, right? And then there's loyalty point-based systems. So this next slide here is actually probably similar to a lot of practices like you. This was a dental practice that also opened up a med spa attached to it. And the med spa was open for a few years, and her and her husband decided, let's start rolling out a membership program. We have all these clients, we're doing a great job cross-selling, but let's get them coming back in. Let's see if people would be interested in paying a fee to get discounted rates on our services, lock them in at a specific rate for injections or unit costs, right? What we saw with this practice when we ran this case study was when they rolled this out, there was a compounding growth month over month just from the membership fees. This had nothing to do with service-specific sales. The fees that these patients were paying every month kept growing and growing to the point where she made an additional $1 million in revenue that year from these fees. So is the juice worth the squeeze on that, right? Like, is it worth investing the time and energy in rolling out these memberships, training our staffs, putting together some good talk tracks on how we want to sell that, get that, that loyalty to our business, and getting the cultural buy-in too, right? We're now a membership model. That's what we have to know. And then we have to implement it and get those talk tracks right so we can be this next case study, right? But it all starts with being efficient, having the right tools in place to do all of that. So here's the recap. Let's create a strategy to start, right? We have to have a process to understand the patient journey from acquiring them to retaining them. We have to prioritize before and afters. The data shows us this is what people care about, as well as the reviews, because that we're going to see that compounding growth where we're going to get more visibility. People are going to see the nice things people are saying about us. It's very few and far between people leave you a negative review. And when they do, you just drown it in positive ones. We want to also potentially consider rolling out some of these memberships. So I'll ask you, is it going to be a deficiency of execution at this point, right? This is all just data. This is what it is based on what we've seen with our thousands of practices we work with and what the aesthetic consumer cares about. So now are we going to execute on it, right? Or is it going to be just the photos we've taken and the great notes we've taken this weekend and the time we've spent meeting people? Or are we going to actually implement it in our business? So thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. We're going to do a demo, I believe, in an hour or so on our photo management tool. So I'm excited to show you guys that. Thank you.